Hey everyone, it's question of the week time. I'm so excited because I kind of set another little benchmark goal there for the number of responses to the question, and I said let's hit 1,000 or more, and you guys did it. It was 1,026 for this question, so that is really exciting. I'm loving how much feedback we're getting, and it's really, I think, the more feedback you get on something like this, the more accurate like your results become because they're you know, accounting for so many more people. So this week's question asks, what is a mascara's biggest downfall? Like, what is the worst problem one of them can cause? And 49%, so really close to half of everybody that responded said clumps. The next vote was smudges during wear, 23%. Next said not volumizing enough, that was 10%. 6% said not lengthening enough. 5% said the formula isn't buildable, and 3% said the wand is hard to use. So I give a lot of recommendations, I feel like, with my question of the week, depending on what your responses were. But for this one, I thought maybe I might just give some tips instead, some application tips that can sort of help you get around some of these common issues. So for clumps, recently, within the past, couple of years, brands have come out with more of these rubber brush mascaras, and although some of them I haven't been satisfied with the fact, like maybe they didn't give enough length or thickness, what they have done is really kept from clumping. So if that is your biggest concern, and maybe there are certain formulas that are buildable to where maybe you can get more length or you can get more volume, but you won't get the clumps. So those some of those mascaras that allow you to be pretty much clump free are the Lash Blast. I know there's some kind of strong views on either side. Some people say, oh my gosh, I love Lash Blast, it's the only thing I'd use, and then others are kind of like, well, it's not that great for me. So I'm kind of one of those that's on the fence. I mean, I love the fact that this handles a couple of the key problem areas because it doesn't smudge and it also doesn't clump. So I mean, meanwhile, some might say the wand is hard to use because it is kind of big and it's kind of bulky to get right in there. But at the same time, and what I mean by these rubber, you see how it's like little bitty rubber, nubs coming off of the wand there? That's what I mean by the rubber brush. So there's that. Another kind that works pretty well that doesn't like smudge and it doesn't clump is the L'Oreal Telescopic. Really small brush with like little, like 4 little sets of spikes that come off of it. Really easy to use, and aside from this one being so fat, this one's a little skinnier. And then the Rimmel Sexy Curves, I really am not happy with how, I don't feel like it's volumizing enough at all, but it's not that bad. I mean, it really doesn't clump on me at all. So anyway, to combat those clumps, think about those. Another good one that I find doesn't clump a whole lot is the L'Oreal Lash Out, and that's a traditional brush, but it's been around for a long time, but that's actually a pretty darn good mascara for length. So this is the curved brush, but that's pretty good. I use it a lot to blend in my natural lashes with like the false ones. So, but another thing with clumps in terms of just the way you apply, sometimes with some of these traditional brush mascaras like this one or my L'Oreal Hip Mascara, sometimes there's just way too much product on the brush. And you can get away with taking a tissue and just wiping your brush on it or blotting the brush sometimes, because sometimes the little stopper that's in these that, cleans off the wand as you take it out does not clean off enough. And that's just a flaw in the way some of these are made, Some of them just, they weren't designed right, in my opinion, because you bring the brush out and there's way too much there. So keep in mind, and that goes for the smudging. That brings me right into the smudging point, because sometimes you're putting too much product on your eyelashes and you wonder why you have smudges. And I've said this before with eyeliner, it's because there's too much there, okay? So that's the reason why you smudge out your liner, and that's another reason why you need to sometimes wipe off the brush a little bit. And by doing that, if you need, I'll give you a little demo here for that. Got a tissue, here's my brush, and I'm just going to kind of like go like that a little bit, or just blot it. Okay, it's cleaned off a little more, and it's going to be more buildable that way too, because you're not going to have one super thick coat. You're going to have thinner coats, and you can build on top of that, and the lengthening will take more, and the volumizing, the thickening will work better for you too. So keep that in mind. A really good tip for if it's not volumizing enough, think about how you're applying your mascara, okay? Are you putting, and I have false eyelashes on today, so that's going to be my overall tip. Not lengthening enough, not volumizing enough, try false eyelashes, watch the tutorial. I made one. But putting it on and wiggling it side to side like this. Okay, that's going to get in there and make, by volume we mean the look of more lashes. So if you're going in there and you're wiggling it back and forth, that formula is getting on more lashes because you're wiggling it. You're really getting it in there and not just hitting those surface, few lashes that you might hit when you lightly touch it. You really want to get in there, almost like it's like you're scrubbing it onto your eyelashes. So that is going to build thickness. And for volume, do that same thing, but make sure you're getting it all the way to the ends of the eyelashes, okay? All the way to the very end. Like, I sometimes continue the movement even though I'm out past it, just to ensure that I've gone all the way to the end, okay? Sometimes we just hit it and then we come away from it. That's not the way to go. You're not going to build up anything that way. You're not going to get any length. You want to go all the way and beyond, okay? Because the way a lot of these mascaras work are with microfibers, and those are like itty-bitty fibers that are attaching to your lashes and making them longer. Well, you're not really doing yourself any favor by not going the full length of your eyelashes, because then those microfibers aren't building on top of one another like they would otherwise. So keep that in mind. Go all the way to the ends of your lashes. That's a good tip for lengthening. Trying to think if I have any other tips. Those are my main ones. Basically, look at the mascara you're using. If you're finding a lot of clumps, try one of those rubber brush mascaras. And also, in terms of clumping and smudging, wipe off the brush from time to time, especially when that mascara is new. I think it will help a lot. It'll make it more buildable too. So that's a tip to make. If the formula isn't buildable enough, try that. You can do multiple coats and it will build upon itself much better. For volume, make sure you're wiggling it, and for length, make sure you're going all the way to the edge of your lashes. They'll turn out a lot longer than you think they could otherwise. So anyway, guys, I hope this helped in terms of mascara application. Just watch sometime. I know I don't always include the application step in all of my tutorials, but in a lot of them I do, so just kind of, watch that and see firsthand, how I'm doing that. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for voting on the question of the week, and don't forget to answer next week's question. I'll have a link on the sidebar. Thanks for watching, guys.